Good afternoon, everyone. Let me introduce you to my PhD topic regarding the diagnostics and the treatment of pancreatic patients. So I'm Emese Fürst. I'm a second-year gastroenterology resident at the Institute of Pancreatic Diseases here at Semmelweis University. My supervisor is Bálint Erős, and together we have a vision that we would like to achieve better patient care through improving the diagnostic algorithms, especially in pancreatic patients. And therefore, our mission is to make a good use of all available diagnostic tools which are used or which can be used in this population. For that, we stated two specific goals, both started last fall. The first one, the utilization of secretin-enhanced MRCP in pancreatobiliary pathologies, will be a systematic review and a meta-analysis, and it started in last September. You may ask why. Well, when working with these patients, you have a vast options for different imaging modalities. Some of them are strictly just cross-sectional, like CT or MRCP. Some of them are more invasive, but also offer some interventions as well, like EUS and ERCP. And also there are functional tests which can describe the exocrine function of the pancreas. Secretin-enhanced MRCP is a tool which can reportedly improve the visualization of the pancreaticobiliary tree, and while doing that also can provide information on the exocrine function of the pancreas. As you can see here on this picture, secretin enhances the visibility. Therefore, we were looking into it but haven't found any guidelines, so secretin-enhanced MRCP has no place yet. So we aim to study the diagnostic accuracy of SMRCP in different pancreaticobiliary diseases, and we were hoping to identify a subgroup in this population who could benefit from using this method more often. So the clinical question arose, what is the diagnostic test accuracy of secretin-enhanced MRCP in different pancreaticobiliary pathologies? To answer that, we used the PIRD framework. We were looking at different pancreaticobiliary conditions, namely pancreatic divisum, biliary stones, sphincter of Oddi disease, and we were interested in the diagnostic accuracy of secretin-enhanced MRCP in contrast with the gold standard diagnostic tool for each specific condition. And for the outcome, as the diagnosis, we were interested in specificity and sensitivity first and foremost. We hypothesized that there is a subgroup in our population who would benefit from using this technique more. We conducted our systematic research in November last year in 3 databases with this relatively broad search key. With that, we got almost 1,200 results, from which we could finally include 16 full texts in our analysis. We have an ongoing analysis for biliary stones and pancreatic divisum, and we have an almost finished analysis for sphincter of Oddi dysfunction. We also wanted to include exocrine function, but unfortunately we did not find enough eligible articles. So on this first plot with this preliminary result of the diagnosis of pancreatic sphincter of Oddi dysfunction, the sensitivity compared to Oddi manometry was 32%. In contrast, the specificity was 91%. So our study has limitations as the populations were small and somewhat heterogeneous, and most of the studies were relatively old. On the other hand, we used rigorous methodology, and all the studies used the same MRI protocol. So in conclusion, with our preliminary data, we can state that secretin-enhanced MRCP has a low sensitivity but high specificity in diagnosing pancreatic sphincter of Oddi disease. But what would it mean for us? Well, first of all, for the implication in research, we need more studies with more cases, preferably RCTs, because there are no high-quality RCTs yet. And we should see, because since the 2000s, the technology has evolved a lot. So on newer machines with 1.5 to 3.0 Tesla machines, should we expect better outcomes? We could see. As for implication in practice, there could be a new diagnostic protocol for pancreatic disease patients, and it would be huge if we could introduce using secretin-enhanced MRCP in Hungary, as it is not available as of today. So here you can see my first project's progress. Risk of bias assessment and figures and tables are ongoing, and we're still waiting for the final results. Our second project would be dealing with risk factors and disconnected pancreatic duct syndrome in patients with acute pancreatitis. It would be a prospective cohort study. Why? Again, we're working with these patients and see that disconnected pancreatic duct syndrome is an important, although often overlooked complication of acute pancreatitis. When looking through the literature, the incidence has been variable from 16 to 46.3%, which is a huge difference. The frequency was reportedly higher with patients in acute necrotizing pancreatitis and patients with walled-off pancreatic necrosis. And the study stated that having DPDS increased the rate of ICU admission and the need for interventions. So our aim is to determine risk and prognostic factors for developing DPDS, investigating its effect on the outcome of acute pancreatitis. So to sum up, we have these two projects, and we plan to submit both later this year, probably during fall. So thank you for your attention, and to conclude with the great words of Eugene Ionesco, it is not the answer that enlightens, but the question. So all your questions are welcome.
Secretin-induced MRCP is a crying shame that we don't have it here in Hungary. I miss it dearly. But what is the reason for that? What do you think? If you are dealing with this topic, probably you can tell me, because I cannot get an answer to that question.
Honestly, what I've been reading, it is deemed a very costly procedure. So definitely that's one part. The second part is that MRCP or MRI is still not yet so widespread in Hungary. So we have centers who have machines that can do MRCP. For example, here at Semmelweis, I do know that for a fact that the 1.5 Tesla machine is able to do MRCP, the 3.0 is not. So that can be another reason. So basically financial reasons, and again, because there are no clear guidelines or protocols, so there's no urge to have it here, because why should we? There's no real evidence.
Thank you for your presentation. Since I'm not a medical doctor, I have this very simple question. You mentioned that this new sort of MRCP should be introduced to Hungary. My question is, why? What would it add to the practice? What are the clinical gains that could be gained? Thank you.
That's why we are conducting this research, because there is no clear evidence whether it's better or it performs better at any part. We do know that for a fact that it improves the visualization of the pancreatobiliary tree, but it's not enough. So because something looks good on the screen, it shouldn't be used on a daily basis, even if it's really, really costly. And so we will see if we find enough evidence that there is a subgroup of patients who would really benefit from it. For example, having, I don't know, pancreatic duct disease, which cannot be confirmed by any other means, then there you have it. But as of now, we do not have any evidence.
Thank you.
you mentioned that you'd use that for the diagnosis of pancreatic SOD, which is logical and obvious. But is there any difference between the behavior of the pancreatic and the biliary sphincter in the other sphincter?
It's not really the behavior, but for the biliary sphincter, there is the HIDA test, which is used widespreadly with those nice curves, and I don't think that that secretin-enhanced MRCP could perform better. But for the pancreatic sphincter, we do not have a nice method like that, so maybe that would be the idea.